Hey everybody, this is Alan T. Black. This is my third YouTube video. First of all, let me share with everybody my website, which is www.alantblack.com. And Alan is spelled A-L-A-N, then the middle initial T, like in Theodore, black.com. Again, that's www.alantblack.com. So look forward to having you guys go there, check me out, and just kind of leave some questions and everything. I'll be sure to respond to you. And so I just want to take a few minutes right now just to kind of share some more thoughts on my mind in terms of what's happening with me as a Christian author. I've been very, very blessed in terms of becoming a Christian author. And it's interesting because I can remember probably about 6-7 years ago, my college roommate and we were at lunch. And so I was sharing with him that I had some things that I wanted to do, and that actually I still wanted to write a book. And I'll never forget his response. I remember he said to me, "Well, I've been waiting on you to write your book, so what's taking so long?" And it kind of threw me because I was like, I didn't expect to hear that from him. And I said, "Well, why would you say that?" He said, "Well, even in college, I just knew that the day was going to come when you were going to write a book." And I was really kind of surprised that he said that. And then another young man who was also a really close friend of mine said, "Yeah, you could do that. So what are you waiting on?" And it was really startling to hear both of them say essentially the same thing. So if there is a theme for this third video for YouTube, it would be very simply this statement: you never know what's going to happen next. And I say that because at that lunch that day, what I had in mind in terms of eventually writing a book, which is completely separate from where I'm at right now, it just goes to show that you never know what's going to happen, because where I was headed in my mind and in my spirit was one direction, but then there came that time, as I shared in my previous video, where the Lord said, "No, you're not going this direction. I want you to go this direction." That's important because I think a lot of times as we head down the road in life, all of us have that capacity. We have a gene inside of us, I truly believe, that calls for us to kind of plan everything that we're talking about doing. Some of us have planners where we're going to plan the very second we get up until the very minute that we lay down and go to sleep at night, or whatever it is that we finally go to rest. And we try to follow that schedule that we have mapped out to a T. And that's all well and good, but everybody who's watching this video or listening to it, let's all be honest. A lot of times it just doesn't go that way. Everything is fine until something happens, and then you wind up going a totally different direction. That's important because life is going to lead us in a lot of different directions that at times we had no clue that's where we were headed. My journey as a Christian author has been a journey that, as I've shared before, I'm probably being redundant, but I'm nervous and I'm new to this. I had no idea this is where I was headed. And so I find myself now at the point where I haven't finished up my second book, In the Spirit Intended. I'm actually in the process now of continuing down this road that I never intended to take. And I'm kind of formulating some new ideas about a third book, and then possibly a fourth book, which would be kind of like a wrap-up of the first two books. It's interesting to me because there are points in life where we're all going to reach where what we have in mind in terms of what we're going to do is changed dramatically because the Lord is speaking to us in a manner that says, "This is what I'm going to have you to do, and this is the new you that's going to emerge from all of this." I'll be honest, it's kind of nerve-wracking for each of us if you think about those moments when the Lord may have spoken to you and said, "This is what is for you, and this is what I'm asking you to do. It's time to do it." That's kind of nerve-wracking because a lot of times, if we're honest, we're going to look around and say, "You must mean somebody else because you don't mean me." Because I'm not necessarily the person who's qualified to do this, but there's one thing that I have learned through this process of having completed 2 books, and I firmly believe this to be an absolute fact. God does not call the qualified. That's because he will qualify those that he calls. If he places the calling in your life, he's going to qualify you to do what it is that you need to do. If you think about your life, and if you're honest with the person that you see in the mirror, there have been more than a few occasions in all of our lives where if we look back, we can see those times and occasions where we were in the midst of some things that we probably had no ability to do, that we really weren't qualified to do. But in spite of our own self-doubt and our own self-imposed limitations, we were able to accomplish it because that's what God put in us to do. I'm a firm believer that he will give you what it is that you need to do in order to fulfill his purpose that he has for each and every one of you. I'm at a point now where what I try to do with everyone that I come in contact with, I try to share a little bit of my journey in terms of where I'm at right now as a Christian author. But I never do it with the intent of saying, hey, look at me, look how good I am. That's not the intent at all. I share my story and I guess my testimony because I just want everybody to know that, hey, even me as this ordinary guy has now been led in a new direction that I had no intention of going. But look what had happened when I just became obedient and just said, yes, Lord, here I am. I'll follow as you lead. And I think it's important to encourage everyone that you can come into contact with to share a part of your journey. I'm a firm believer that a lot of the experiences that we go through in life aren't just for us. They're for a purpose that may come to pass later on where you're able to share something with somebody and you're speaking into the life of a person, and that might be the very thing that they need to hear that's going to encourage them to say, you know what, I'm going to be okay. Or you may say to them, hey, if that person did it, I know I can do what I'm called to do as well. And that can be so important because just that opportunity to just share a word of encouragement, that can change somebody's life. And it can change not just their life, but it could have a generational impact on, say, a family or even a community. So I think that's important that as you find what it is the Lord's calling you to do, that you are faithful, that you step out, and then as well, that as you're going through, and let's just say you get to the point where you see a sense of fulfillment, share that with somebody because somebody else is probably at a starting point where maybe they are dealing with a level of fear and or doubt, and they're not necessarily sure if they can actually do what it is they're being called to do. Again, I'm very excited and very honored to just be on YouTube. I'm that person that couldn't figure out how to even use YouTube about 2 years ago. Had to have my goddaughter show me what it meant because I was clueless. I'm just telling you the truth. But look at what's happened in a 2-year period in terms of just trying to be obedient and just trying to do what the Lord's called me to do. There's a transformation that I'm experiencing that's very exciting. It's still scary. I'm not going to tell you any stories. But it's a transformation which is leading me into a better place and in a better direction. And so I would pray that everyone who sees this video is willing to say, hey, I'm looking for that same type of transformation. And Lord, here I am. I'm willing to be a servant. I'm willing to be obedient to do what it is that you're calling me to do so that I can then begin to see my destiny fulfilled and how I can impact and encourage and uplift others as they pursue the very same thing that they're looking for, which is a sense of fulfillment for what their purpose is and a successful journey as they look to reach the top as far as their destiny is concerned. Again, I'm Alan T. Black. My website is www.alantblack.com. You can check me out on my website. Go to my page and you'll see my 2 books, Here I Am, Lord, the first book, and my new book, In the Spirit Intended. I'm honored that you took time to check out these YouTube videos. Everybody be blessed and keep pressing on. Talk to you later. Bye bye.